A hero is a person admired or idolized for their courage, achievements, or noble qualities. Throughout Mark Grayson's story, he is constantly trying to do the right thing. You can start to see his changes in personality and tone as he gets older, as he struggles with the morality and difficult decisions that come with being the strongest individual on Earth, leaving him to believe that the only path to do the best thing would be to do a bad thing. And you can see these huge shifts in his demeanors with each mistake he makes and learns from, changing who he is slowly and completely until you wonder if he is truly still a hero at all. You can actually see that our variant of Mark has always been capable of this kind of unhinged frenzy behavior, all the way back in Season 1, Episode 2, when the Flaxans invaded for the second time. The teen team had been trapped and outnumbered by the alien invasion with the recent murders of the Guardians of the Globe. When they had advanced far enough to put Eve at gunpoint, Mark had let his anger control him and give him the strength to break free from his constraints and viciously beat the leader, only stopping when Eve had requested help, showing us that his humanity was still shining through stronger than his rage, unlike his father, at least in the first season. And this behavior was consistent with his character throughout his first 2 seasons. Mark's empathy and moral accountability defined his actions, making him who he is. But as he grows throughout the show, you can start to see him repress these emotions to try to do the right thing. This breaking point was found at the end of Season 2, where Mark was forced into a decision to kill Angstrom Levy. After threatening Mark's family, Mark went into another one of these frenzies, pushing him through one of the portals, pinning and beating him. And in his blind rage, he finally put a stop to him for what he thought was forever. It was only after he realized that he broke his no-kill rule, leaving his mind confused as he wonders if he is still doing the right thing, or if he is turning into his father. His guilt is still strong after the encounter, showing us that he still possesses a lot of humanity. However, Cecil argues that being the good guy is a luxury that people just can't afford, explaining how you can be the good guy or the guy who saves the world. While Mark was originally against that way of thinking when it was first brought up, it had either consciously or subconsciously become how he thinks about conflicts, being okay to kill a man to save the world. This also gives us insight on Mark's negative traits, his arrogance and pride. Shortly after his battle with Angstrom, Mark finds out that Cecil, the head of the GDA, is working with criminals to try to make them into heroes, instead of letting them waste away in a cell, with one of these criminals being D.A. St. Clair, the man who attacked his best friend. Mark, being outraged by this, flies over to Cecil and confronts him, leading to one of my favorite episodes in the series. Mark threatens Cecil to put a stop to what he's doing, even though, while not ethical, he's still saving lives and giving criminals a chance to reform themselves. Cecil stands his ground and attacks Mark with his reanimants. However, things quickly escalate and Cecil is forced to expose and use a sonic disruptor that he put inside of Mark's head. The episode ends with Mark getting the device removed after a fight scene and promising never to work with him again. Even though Cecil isn't 100% in the right, he is still doing a lot more good than harm, and refusing to work with him while threatening him isn't what's best for the safety of the world. A true hero would set aside their differences to save as many lives as possible. But admittedly, he does end up doing this in the latest season when the Flaxans attack yet again. However, what option did Mark leave Cecil when threatening him in the first place? If he decided to bow to Mark's every whim, it would have created a severe power dynamic, where one person says what's right and the others just have to deal with it, destroying the point of oversight and making Mark much harder to control and reason with later. Later in the same season, Mark runs into a supervillain born by the consequences of his actions, Powerplex. Mark's fight with his father in Season 1 caused a lot of people to die and or get seriously injured, 2 of these people including Powerplex's sister and niece, sending him into a spiral and confronting Mark for his actions. While not being completely Mark's fault, he still feels a lot of guilt and shame for the damages he indirectly caused. Powerplex then goes on to be defeated by Mark, but only after more innocent lives are taken in the form of Powerplex's sister and baby, firmly planting the idea of sacrificing one person for the greater good in Mark's head. Then, in typical Invincible fashion, directly after those events, a ton of evil Marks show up and start destroying the planet. Since all of these different versions of Invincible destroy his home and friends, this completely messes up Mark's head, along with his public reputation being ruined as they are all him. Taking them down one by one, Mark hunts down Angstrom, the source of the variants. After finding him, Oliver, his brother, puts pressure on Mark to make the hard call and kill him before any more innocent lives are taken. Mark is successfully convinced that it's what has to be done, but gets interrupted before being able to deal the blow. This is where the big shift in his character lies, as he begins to see killing as a solution. The last season confirms this, as he is almost constantly weighing the values of people's lives in combat scenarios. Overall, I think that in the end, his heart has always been in the right place, and that's what's most important. And while the people in the city might dislike their hero, he's the only reason why they aren't all dead, and that makes him more of a hero than anything else, still doing what you think is right despite how much it hurts you. It's really down to this specific person if they believe that killing makes you unredeemable. While your actions prove who you are, your morality guides them. And even though Mark has had to suppress his empathy and generosity, they still hold strong to make him who he is. I think that it's really interesting to watch and see his arc as a superhero, slowly becoming more realistic as the morbid reality of everything starts to set in. I would say that while Mark is taking a more darker look at his problems and finding gray solutions, I don't think he'll ever, at least fully, become a villain. But I don't know, I haven't read the comics, so we'll see what happens. My favorite part of this show is watching characters develop and change as the story around them shifts, and the writers have always done a really good job at that. I had a lot of fun looking back and analyzing Mark's character, and I'm also pretty happy with how the card came out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.